Hi, my name is Chris Ryan and you've joined me here at the Belfry. We're in the Talent Performance Centre, and in this video we're going to go through a really simple drill that you can do at the practice area or the drive range, which is going to help you if you feel you struggle with your takeaway. Before we get into that video, in the corner of the screen you should have hopefully details for my Facebook, for my Twitter and for my Instagram account, so please make sure you also go ahead and follow me on those. So we're talking about the takeaway, we're talking about the first maybe 3 or 4 feet of the golf swing, and we're going to address a fault that I see quite commonly from the amateurs that I coach on a day-to-day basis. And the fault is where the hands move away from the body and the club head moves too much in behind them. So a lot of people would term this maybe as a roll takeaway or an inside takeaway. Whatever the terminology you want is fine, but we really need to try and fix this because it does give us issues later in the golf swing. So before we get into the fix, let's just talk and let's just describe the takeaway that we are talking about and the takeaway that we see, as I say, quite commonly. So we often see golfers adopt a pretty orthodox setup. So they set up the golf with some good angles, some good setup angles. But in the takeaway, the hands tend to move away from the body and the club head tends to dive inside. So it's certainly inside my hands, but it's often inside of where the club head should be as well. So let me just do that again for you. So we see good setup, but then we see this where the hands move away, club moves in. We often see this as well with the club face, which over rotates a little bit early as well. So sometimes we get the club face a little bit too open in this move, and again that does give us issues later in the swing. So what do we see from there? Well, as you can imagine, we're going to get probably a pretty flat club shaft halfway back. So this golfer is probably going to try and recover that and put some steepness back into that golf swing, and that can often result in the club getting a little bit across the line at the top. If the hands move away early on, we often find we get a little bit disconnected between what the arms are doing and what the body's doing, and it's often a recovery process from there. So the drill today is called the drag handle drill. And this is a drill I use to give golfers the correct feel. You'll see in a minute as I do this drill, this is not going to get me into what you might class as technically a perfect position, but it really helps me to feel maybe what should be happening in that takeaway. So we're going to get you to take a setup as normal. And I want you to feel that when you make your golf swing, as I said, you're going to drag the handle away before the club head. Now, you won't see many good players doing this, and as I said a minute ago, it's not going to get you into maybe the correct position, but it's going to give you a good feel. So we're going to drag the handle away, and that's going to certainly give you some different looks to that takeaway. If I just turn around and show you from this other angle again, as I make that move, as I drag the hands before the club head, you'll notice what happens. The hands stay a little bit more inwards. That would be a good thing. The club head stays a little bit more outwards. That will also be a good thing. And the club face stays pointing a little bit more down towards the ground. And again, that's a good thing because those 3 things are the opposite to what we see in the poor takeaway. We see the hands go out, the club come in and the face open. So dragging the handle back gives us the opposite feels. Now, as I said, that doesn't look technically perfect. You're not going to see many tour players playing in the Masters or the Open dragging the handle back in excessively. But as I say, it's not bad to give these golfers the feel of what we're trying to get them to do. I would certainly get golfers to hit balls that way, but I would definitely do it in stages. I would get them to set up, and then from here we're going to drag the handle back so my hands get around about waist high. Certainly those are the checkpoints I'm after, and then from there I can just work up to a position at the top and then just go ahead and swing through. Now that was a pretty poor strike. That's fine. I'm not expecting to hit these golf balls cleanly, 170 yards with a nice draw. I'm just trying to get an understanding of how that club might want to move away from the golf ball compared to what it currently does. So let me just do that again for you. So normal setup, and I'm going to feel like I drag the hands away. They stay a lot more inside. From here, I can rotate my forearms up to the top and then just clip that ball 70, 80 yards. I would suggest doing this over a distance of, as I say, 70 yards initially. We're not trying to add speed at this stage. We're trying to get an understanding of what's going to happen and how this differs from your maybe current takeaway if you find you have these hands moving in. Once you've done a couple of those, you can then go ahead and hit a couple of shots, and you can try and find somewhere that might be sort of halfway between the two. So we're not going to go quite as extreme as the drill, but we might find that we're a little bit better than what we would do normally. and I'm pretty happy with that. So this is certainly something I feel, because if you've ever seen it in my videos before, you'll notice that I do tend to get the club head a little bit too inside. That does put my club shaft too flat. I do often steepen it at the top, etc, etc. It does give me some faults later on in my golf swing. So this is one thing I do like to feel. I feel like the hands maybe lead, the club head stays a bit more outside, and I find that that does get me into some better positions. So if you feel you struggle with that takeaway, you feel the hands go out, the club head dives in behind you, it's a roll takeaway, it's a flip takeaway, it's an inside takeaway, try this drag handle drill, and hopefully you might find some better positions and ultimately hit some better shots. Right, thank you very much for watching the video. There's the usual stuff down below. You've got the likes button, and you've also got a comments box. And please make sure you subscribe to my channel. There are hundreds of videos on my channel now, absolutely free. Access to those via the subscription button, and hopefully you won't miss any. Right, thank you very much for watching, and again, we'll see you next time.